In this world, there are 9 races, including dragonfolk, elves, demons, and humans. The story begins with a young human named Light who's from a small village. He leaves his family behind for a chance to hit it big in the city and make enough money to live a lavish life. But right after he gets there, he gets lost on the way, and a wolf man treats him like trash when he stands in his way. Later at the guild, the receptionist registers him and explains he will be F rank since it is his first time. Then, she asks what his gift is, and he proudly tells her about his unlimited gacha. That leaves the lady confused, so he shows it in action by summoning the gacha crystal and pressing the button, which creates a card with a fork on it. The card materializes when he says release, and it forms into a completely useless fork. Light gets embarrassed and spins his gacha a couple more times, but the only things that come out are rotten apples and bread. While he assures the receptionist that his luck is usually not this bad, the lady quietly slides him the F-rank card he deserves. After that, he asks her which job he can start with, so she points him to the easiest tasks on the mission board. Light blankly stares at the mountains of text on the job offers, and that is when the lady realizes he is illiterate, just like most humans in the city. With that said, she pulls out the manual labor jobs that are always available and asks if he's fine with them, even though the pay is terrible. Light gladly accepts them and spends his days hauling wood, mining coal in caves, and coming back at night with barely enough money for a night at the inn. Just then, as he thinks it would be great if his gacha could at least make food, a gang of wolves bumps into him, and the guy bullies him for getting their clothes dirty. Next, he grabs Light's coin pouch and claims it is just enough to pay for his laundry, but when Light tries to get his inn money back, the guy brutally kicks him in the gut and tells him he can't buy squat with chump change like that. After that, the wolf gang heads off to grab some drinks using his hard-earned money, while the onlookers look down on the human boy like he's just trash lying in the street. Just then, he hears a gentle girl's voice call out and takes her hand, but he quickly falls back and apologizes when he realizes she is an elf. At first, he does not trust her when she promises she will not hurt him, so the girl wraps him in a tight hug even though everyone else on the street is disgusted. Light cannot believe it either that the elf girl sits down in the mud beside him and quietly wonders if this is all just a dream. The elf lady tells our boy that everything he is seeing is real, and her group introduces themselves as the Concord of the tribes. Light looks confused at first, so the wolf guy explains that each of them represents one of the 9 races born from the light of the deity. One by one, they all give their names, and once the introductions are over, the wolf guy says that the only thing their team was missing until now was a human. The dark elf Sion explains that their noble mission is to end racial discrimination, and with that, they all welcome Light into their party. Beaten and worn out, he quickly agrees to join. The story then shifts to the world's largest and most dangerous dungeon, the Abyss, where Light is suddenly attacked by giant mud-covered snakes with glowing red eyes. Just before one of them strikes, the Dragonout Drago saves him while the elf lady Sasha scolds him, saying he could have been taken out in a single blow. She then tends to his wounds, but gets embarrassed when the rest of the party teases her for acting like his mommy. Drago cheers Light up by saying no one could make a better cup of tea, and soon after, the party leads him deeper into the dark depths of the dungeon. Once they arrive, all of their expressions change completely for some reason, and Light assumes they are here for a break, so he begins preparing tea. However, Drago suddenly tells him that they are kicking him out of their so-called Concord of the tribes. He repeats it again, and when Light still does not understand, the wolf guy Garu mocks him by calling him deaf as he explains that they no longer have any use for him. Even Sasha now looks disgusted. Sayoni calls it his ignorance, pointing out how slow he is to comprehend, while even the dwarf Nano insults Light by bluntly calling him dead weight. The rest of the party adds similarly harsh words, but Light simply cannot accept it and asks if they are joking around. To make him understand, Drago explains that they only needed him in their party because of his unlimited gacha gift. Their higher-ups believed he might be a master because of that strange ability, which is why he was invited to the party and kept under observation. Now, it appears they have figured out the truth that Light is nothing more than a useless mess, and therefore, he is no longer needed. Sasha shows her disgust again, saying she was meant to marry the master and could never accept him being someone from the inferior human race. The Concord of the tribes, however, does not look like they are going to let the boy off the hook after they leaked so much info. They argue that they were given orders to get rid of him once and for all, revealing their intention to oust him not just from their party, but from his life as well. Garu takes the first shot and scratches the poor boy's face with his claws, making Light scream in pain as he tries to run for his life. But Sasha fires an arrow through his leg, causing him to fall to the ground. The Concord of the tribes calls his screams music to their ears, while Garu kicks him and slams him across the floor before beating him again and again. They decide to make up a story that the boy was murdered by monsters, and the wolf guy raises his claws to attack once more and and end his misery for good. However, Light refuses to give up on life and keeps crawling forward. He screams that he wants to live, and just as he places his hand on the floor to move another step, a giant purple magic circle appears beneath him, turning out to be a teleportation trap. The wolf dude tries to finish him before the spell can activate, but he fails, and Light vanishes from there. Inside the deep dark abyss, Light realizes he was teleported somewhere far away, but there is no point because he is easy prey for any monster down here. He misses his family and wonders what he did wrong to deserve this, and feels devastated to realize that all the fun times he had with his party were all a big fat lie. Remembering the look of disgust on their faces and the way they smiled as Garu hunted him down, he forces himself to get up and swears he will murder every last one of them. Just then, a level 1000 monster shows up, and he panics because he only heard about them in myths. That is when it hits him that he was teleported to the deepest part of the dungeon. The boy, injured head to toe, slowly crawls back as the monster steps toward him, and he uses the only gift he has as a last-ditch effort. He smashes the button repeatedly and refuses to die like trash dumped and left to rot in the dungeon without seeing his family and getting his revenge. Suddenly, a huge magic circle appears below him, and the gacha shows a beautiful animation. A card appears with a brilliant flash of light, and the monster explodes into hundreds of pieces. Light stares in amazement at the girl who appeared out of nowhere. She kneels in front of him, and her powerful magic makes all of his injuries and pain disappear in an instant. Then she addresses him as master and requests him to give her the honor of hearing his name in his majestic voice. When Light awkwardly says his name, she says his name is as incredible as him and pledges absolute loyalty to her master till death do them part. After that, she introduces herself as May the Ever-Seeking Maid, a level 9000 super ultra rare card who comes from the unlimited gacha. Light is confused to hear that because his gacha was absolutely useless and there is no way an incredible lady like her could come out of there. Hearing that, May tells him she is not special and requests her master to simply call her by her name. She blushes with excitement when he calls her May, and then politely requests permission to use her appraisal skill to appraise the full details of his unlimited gacha. Light is impressed that she has such a useful gift, but May says that it is merely one of her skills and requests permission to appraise him again, because there is no way her master's gift can possibly be useless. After he grants her permission, she scans him head to toe and is blown away by how amazing his true potential is, and she reveals they are hidden by a seal that no one below her level can see through. Then she explains that his unlimited gacha is actually a broken ability because it can be rolled as many times as he wants, and the quality of its cards gets better depending on the density of mana in the area, going from extra rare and super ultra rare at the top to normal and error at the bottom. Seeing the confusion on his face, she explains that mana density is low on the surface, so it is only possible for him to summon powerful cards like her at the bottom of the dungeon. May is simply amazed by how brave he is to travel to the depths of the abyss to reach his peak potential, though she is worried that even a monster breathing in his direction could kill him at his current stats, so she offers to be his shield. Light, however, refuses it entirely and admits that he was just a lowly human who came here together with his companions, who betrayed him and even tried to murder him. He cries as he recalls all the cruel things they said to him, including mocking him for being nothing more than a lowly human. He tells May that all he ever wished for was to give his family a better life, and explains just how much pain he had to endure. He adds how the Concord of the tribes fooled him into their party by playing mind games and pretending they were fighting for a world without discrimination. He gets back onto his knees as he remembers how kind they had been at first, but then turned on him and tried to kill him. He vows to never forgive them and to never let them get away with what they did. The maid hugs him like a mother and gently requests his permission to line up all those scoundrels' heads in front of him within an hour, but Light stops May. He reveals his intention to become strong enough even though he is a human, and to claim his revenge with his own two hands. The maid bows to her lord and declares that his desire is her desire, promising to support him in every step of his journey. The boy smiles with determination and begins his path by pressing the button of his unlimited gacha as his very first step towards revenge. As the story moves forward, 3 years have passed, and Light now walks beside May in the deepest part of the abyss. Our boy appreciates the hard work of the fairy maids, and they get overly excited after being praised by their master. Some even lose their minds to the point of wishing to sniff his feet. This nonsense annoys May, and she asks for permission to silence their chatter. Light tells her it's nothing serious and then heads toward his city, where he greets his people. The townsfolk eagerly invite him to try their new dishes, but he seems to be in a hurry. May complains that their supply of snacks is running low, and the boy replies that he'll let the administrator know. Light mentions that the town has grown a lot over the past 3 years, so they might need to update the system. He then asks about the quartet, the 4 elite members, and requests an update on their progress. May explains that the first, Aoyuki, has been exploring the upper parts of the abyss and creating maps. Light feels a bit concerned since those forests are full of monsters, but he stays calm and optimistic, trusting her skills as a tamer. The second, Ellie, is working on new magic for our boy's grand plan, while the third, Nazuna, remains as busy as ever patrolling the castle grounds. May acknowledges her as a close combat expert, and even though she finds her a bit troublesome, Light seems to enjoy her company a lot. As they continue talking, the two reach the training grounds where the fourth superior, Jack, is already waiting for them. May scolds him for being too casual and disrespectful, but our boy waves it off, saying he sees the guy as his older brother. He then steps onto the field to train with him, and before they start, both make sure they're not wearing gloves this time so they cannot go easy on each other. Light begins the fight by dashing in like a pro and landing a punch straight to Jack's abdomen. The man withstands the hit and proudly declares that he isn't called the Iron-Blooded Barricade for nothing, claiming that if it were anyone else, they would have kicked the bucket from that single punch. Meanwhile, Nazuna continues her patrolling duties with pride and earns praise from the maids for protecting them. The fairy maids then slyly ask her to guard a special area that's supposed to be off-limits to them. Falling for their trick, Nazuna makes her way there and knocks on the master's bedroom door. May steps out and questions what she's doing there, to which the girl confidently replies that she's just on patrol. May reminds her that this area is restricted, but Nazuna quickly shoots back by asking what May herself is doing inside the master's bedroom while he's away training with Jack. May flusters and stammers out an excuse, claiming she was just cleaning the room, insisting that it would go against the maid's code to sit around doing nothing even when the master isn't present. Nazuna cuts May off when she shows surprise at how neatly the bed was made by rolling around in it and sniffing the sheets. The head maid calmly assures her that it is a professional bed-making technique. Amazed, Nazuna wants to learn more about it, but May replies that it is a top-secret technique for pros, leaving the bird-brained girl dazzled with respect for Master Light's #1 maid. May quietly thanks the heavens that Nazuna is not too bright, but just then, the girl remembers a letter from the fairy maids. She pulls it out and reads that the fairies refuse to let May hog all the fun of cleaning Master Light's room any longer. They claim their right to clean it too and vote for May to lose her cleaning privileges, even wishing she gets cursed 1,000 times. After reading that, Nazuna cluelessly wonders what the last part means, and the head maid tells her not to worry her little head about it since it is just a matter between her and the fairies. She hands Nazuna 3 silvers for delivering the message, which makes the girl glow with excitement. She's overjoyed and offers to serve May anytime she needs her, and then runs off like a little girl who just got her pocket money. Outside, Nazuna heads to a sweet shop and stares at all the things she can buy, but what she loves most are the pancakes with fresh milk. After that, she meets Aoyuki sitting on the terrace and asks why she did not go to survey the forest. The cat girl meows, and Nazuna somehow understands it means she has already finished the mission and wants a taste of her pancakes. When the cat girl says something else, Nazuna struggles to understand her meows and assumes she had trouble with trees and monsters. Aoyuki meows in frustration as Nazuna proudly claims she is more reliable even though she was summoned later. Hearing that, the cat girl instantly corrects her, saying there were no enemies and that she only came to deliver a map to May. Nazuna gives her some painful pats on the back in appreciation and calls her silly for not saying so earlier, before heading out for patrol again. Later in the empty throne room, Nazuna feels lonely without Master Light around. She rubs her cheek against his majestic throne, thinking about how cool he looks sitting there like a true king. However, her brute strength accidentally rips off one of the throne's wing decorations, and she nearly has a heart attack when she realizes what she has done. In a panic, she slaps the broken piece back on and bolts out of the room as fast as she can. Meanwhile, deep underground, Jack and Light exchange another powerful punch that sends shockwaves throughout the chamber. After a long silence, Jack admits it was a good fight and suggests they hit the bath. While soaking, he tells Light that his control has improved massively and that very few fighters underground or barely anyone on the surface can face him now, putting stress on the barely. Light vows that he won't let his guard down this time as he plans to exact his revenge just as he originally intended. As the scene shifts, the head maid gathers all her underlings who had tried to protest and send her a message through Nazuna. May asks if they understand why they've been summoned, but the maids quickly deny it, pretending they have no idea. May then reads out the lines from their letter, especially the final part, and the moment they hear it, the maids instinctively step back and apologize for their behavior. When May asks for their reasoning, they give the most pathetic excuses possible, claiming they only wanted to lighten her workload and support her responsibilities. May scolds them for dragging Nazuna into it, and the fairy maids instantly regret their decision. As punishment, May orders the 4 of them to clean the entire hallway leading to the throne room with their bare hands. The maids protest, but it's clear they have no other option. May then tells them she'll be heading to the surface on a mission with the master and instructs them to work hard and stay diligent while she's away. Meanwhile, Nazuna spends her time window shopping when Ellie suddenly shows up, teasing her by asking if she's looking for candy again. The two start chatting about their routines. But it doesn't take long before Ellie starts calling her dumb and stupid for not even remembering the table of one. What begins as small talk quickly turns into a full-on argument. Ellie smugly brags about getting the chance to have tea with the master and then boldly reveals her wish to book a private room for dinner with him. She even throws in a few dirty hints, but Nazuna is so ridiculously dense that she doesn't understand a single thing no matter how hard Ellie tries to make her jealous. Instead, Nazuna simply tells Ellie that she'll protect her in close combat if she ever needs help and leaves, excusing herself to resume her guard duty. Meanwhile, the four fairy maids gather around a table for a heated conference, complaining about how unfairly they are treated. Their conversation once again drifts toward trashing the head maid, and they gossip about how she, being the first summon, got to stay alone with the master for 3 whole months in the dungeon before he summoned anyone else. The maids, burning with envy, shout out their jealousy and even wish for their head maid to drop dead under some cursed spell. Just as the fairy maids begin praying together for May's painful death, the head maid appears out of nowhere and calmly states that she heard everything from outside. She crosses her arms and asks them to explain themselves. One by one, the fairy maids scramble to show fake loyalty, but when May repeats the exact words they said, everyone falls silent in embarrassment. The head maid then makes it clear that May earned her privilege fair and square since she personally taught Master Light and trained him with all the knowledge in the world before they were summoned, adding there was no time to do anything indecent back then.
Then, May admits she initially came back because she felt guilty and wanted to take back her harsh punishment. But after seeing their shameless behavior, she changes her mind and adds the task of cleaning the entire throne room. The fairy maids immediately beg for mercy, saying it will take forever, but May smugly grins and asks if it is really impossible when they still have time to waste, cursing her and whining. After that, the girls go all in on cleaning until one of them goes completely speechless, accidentally breaking the part Nazuna had already damaged. Meanwhile, the air-headed girl quietly wishes she can see Master soon before she peacefully drifts off to sleep. The next day, Light opens the door to the abyss and finds his girls fighting outside. Nazuna's face lights up the moment she sees him, and she excitedly asks if he really came just to see her like she wished. While Ellie teases her for being overly hopeful, Aoyuki silently sneaks up to him, and he starts rubbing her chin out of habit. That sight instantly makes Nazuna and Ellie jealous, and they both shout at Aoyuki to get away from him. Just then, a massive hellhound emerges from the darkness, and Light's legs start shaking as he recalls the terrifying encounter he had with one long ago. However, his fear disappears the moment he sees his 3 companions ready to obliterate the beast that dared to bare its fangs at their lord. The sheer intensity of their killing intent makes the hellhound cower in fear. Seeing that, Light tells them to stop because he can handle this much himself. He calmly approaches the trembling monster and pats its nose, apologizing for scaring it. He feels bad because even if he ordered his girls as a joke, they would actually hunt its entire species to extinction. After that, the quartet gathers as Light explains that May has confirmed their target has taken the bait. Nazuna and Oyuki get fired up, while Ellie sighs and wishes she could have been the bait instead. Light nods proudly, tells them he is counting on them, and heads out to finally claim the vengeance he has been waiting for these past 3 years. Meanwhile, in the City of Wolves, the townsfolk give a grand welcome to Garu, who has just returned after a long time. Garu basks in the glory of all the wolf people showering him with praise, who are unaware that he sees them as peasants. Just then, he notices a human kid digging through the trash, so Garu kicks the boy away and spits in his face for being an eyesore. Later at the bar, his lackeys flatter him and call him really cool, and he tells them drinks are on him because he is just that rich. His little pack idolizes their boss, who rose from a poor kid in the slums to the #1 wolf in the tribe. Garu proudly says it takes serious mastery of instincts to reach his level, and his sharp nose is what lets him sniff out the top-paying jobs. After that, one of his lackeys asks if it was the same for the job with the Concord of Tribes, but Garu shuts him down, saying it was a confidential mission from his organization. On the inside, though, he pleasantly recalls the thrilling mission, where he got paid big bucks just to hunt down a filthy human kid the organization suspected was a master. Garu still feels a little disappointed that the little brat got away thanks to the magic circle, but he is sure the brat did not survive. He grows curious about what this master the whole world is after really is, but his instincts warn him not to stick his nose into it. With that, he yells for the waitress to bring more drinks, but May shows up instead, apologizing for interrupting his little drinking party with a request. When she asks if he is Garu from the Concord of Tribes, Garu's lackeys freak out at a human daring to speak to their king, but he tells them to calm down and hears her out. May introduces herself as a loyal servant searching for her master of noble descent named Light. Garu refuses to believe she is talking about that same little brat. He calls cap on her claim, but when May says she cannot share further details, he grows curious about how the organization failed to realize the runt came from nobility. Still, his nose catches a strong whiff of opportunity if the maid's words are true. May continues that she has traveled the world in search of her master and only recently heard that he joined a party and passed away on a mission in the dungeon. When Garu asks what she really wants, Mai emotionally begs the kind gentleman to show her where her master perished. Garu refuses at first because it sounds like a risky task, but when Maid drops a heavy suitcase full of gold bars on his table, he suspects it is too much for a simple escort mission and starts thinking it might be a trap. However, Garu decides that one measly human maid is not a threat, so he graciously cuts her a deal, saying he is not doing it for the chump change, but because Light was a precious friend of his. After he chugs up his drink, Garu proudly announces that he'll gather the best of his underlings for this so-called petty quest. Maid puts on a flawless act, even bursting into tears as she thanks him dramatically. But while the wolf guy escorts the head maid, his real thoughts are far darker since he's itching to torture her to death, just like he did with our boy, and is already cooking up some nasty ideas in his mind. Before long, they reach the place where Light was once betrayed by the tribe's Concord. The wolf pretends to act all pitiful, spinning up a sad little story while ordering his underlings to block the exit so his prey can't get away. Just as he's drowning in those disgusting thoughts, May's tone shifts completely as she speaks up about how disgraceful it was for her lord to be betrayed by such lowlifes in a place so filthy and dark. She describes exactly how he was treated and blames herself for not being there for him back then. Hearing that, Garu jumps back in shock, instantly going on guard. His mind races as he wonders how anyone could possibly know about that, since only his former guild and the higher-ups were aware. Stuttering and panicked, he yells at the head maid, demanding to know if she's a spy for another race. But May declares that her loyalty belongs to her master Light alone, and the power in her voice and aura makes Garu tremble uncontrollably as he refuses to believe that a mere human woman could be strong enough to make him feel such pressure. Right when May is about to unleash her rage, Light steps in and tells her to chill out since Garu is his prey. Garu can't wrap his head around how a human boy managed to reach this deep into the abyss all by himself. When Light lifts his hood, the wolf is left speechless, unable to believe that the boy he once killed is standing alive before him. Light waves casually with a polite smile, saying he's here to settle the score and take revenge after 3 long years. Garu bursts into hysterical laughter, mocking him and asking how a level 15 brat dares to talk about revenge against someone as mighty as him. Boasting that he's over level 150, he calls Light stupid, saying that 2 weak humans don't stand a chance against him and his lackeys. With that, he orders his men to attack, and they charge forward. But before they can even get close, May darts in and slices their throats open in an instant. Light thanks her and tells her to seal the exit while he prepares for his payback. Trying to rebuild his confidence, Garu spits outs about humans being an inferior race and low-level trash, even flaunting his high level to look superior. Light calmly replies that every race has its own unique level cap, and that's exactly why humans face discrimination. When Garu scoffs and claims it's just because they're born stronger, our boy nods toward the 2 severed heads on the ground, asking him to explain that. Garu, desperate to reason it out, insists that Light must have used some magic item, then lunges forward with his remaining lackeys. Light barely shifts his position and knocks them all back effortlessly before taunting the pup, asking if that's really all he's got. Garu, shaken and in denial, keeps muttering that Light is just a human before leaping back and summoning a massive beast, Fenrir, to fight by his side. After a blinding flash of light summons a level 500 wolf, Garu bursts out laughing like a psycho, thinking he's gonna win. But Light is not impressed and calls his level 500 pup pathetic, which makes Garu wonder if the kid is so scared his brain stopped working. He arrogantly orders Light to beg him for forgiveness like he did 3 years ago, but Light taunts him instead, saying he will stay still and take any attack Garu can throw. Garu gets so enraged that he orders Fenrir to use its ultimate magic beast Howl, but its giant jaw locks open when he sees Light completely unharmed by the destructive blast. Light calls the attack mid at best, and while the wolves freeze in disbelief, he generously offers to show them what a true Fenrir looks like. Garu can only stare in horror as a majestic level 9000 Fenrir appears and effortlessly exhales a small icy mist that instantly freezes the lesser wolf behind him, shattering it to bits. Garu is amazed by Light's terrifying pet capable of annihilating his Fenrir, but Light calmly pets his good boy, saying he could have handled it himself anyway. Seeing him reveal his true level, Garu accuses Light of being a fake since humans cannot go above level 100, and he has not grown an inch in 3 years. Light explains he stopped his growth on purpose to remind Garu of the pain and humiliation from back then, and Garu finally realizes there is nothing he can do against the monstrous human standing before him. As he falls to his knees to beg for forgiveness, Garu blames everything on the organization and quickly throws his greedy lackeys under the bus. Hearing that, Light demands he spill everything he knows about this master that their government is after, but Garu keeps repeating that he knows nothing. Annoyed, Light turns to his goons and asks if they know anything, but when all of them start pretending they do, May instantly slices them into neat cutlets as punishment for daring to deceive her master. After that, Light orders Garu to use that nose he is so proud of and tell him if his current power is enough to win a war against all his enemies on the surface. He warns him not to lie because May will see straight through it. The terrified wolf wets himself as he claims that Master Light would certainly dominate his enemies at the start, but the surface forces have been gathering magic items and weapons for decades, so he cannot face them all at once if they form an alliance. To his surprise, Light agrees with that assessment, saying a single powerhouse is never enough to win a war. and adds that he will ask another question after they teleport somewhere else. As they teleport, Garu looks up with fear in his eyes and panics like a little wolf when he sees a humongous throne room filled with a massive army, while Light climbs the stairs and takes his seat on his throne. He then asks all of them to raise their heads and display their stats, and their power is absurd, with levels running from 1500 all the way to quadruple 9. Seeing Garu stunned by the sight, our boy tells him that this is the force he has been building over the last 3 years. He repeats his question, asking the pup if he still thinks he can win the war against the surface nations now. Garu cannot find a single word in his panic, and watching him like that, Light gets by his reaction that he can definitely win now. Our boy promises him a reward for his truthful reaction by inflicting a suffering worse than death itself. Garu regrets it all as he realizes that he and the rest of the Concord of the tribes are the ones who gave birth to the monster standing before them. He calls him the Lord of Destruction and asks if he wishes to attain the level of some supernatural being. Our boy does not find the idea bad and muses whether he will be a beneficent being or a grateful demon, saying that he will leave this decision for the world itself, and with that, he readies his army as he now wishes to head to the surface.